occupy it immediately or buy land and when things start getting rough, have a place to go?
I think that could work either way. I think that could work either way. Me personally, I'm looking to buy land and not necessarily occupy it immediately, okay? To stay, I'm gonna make as much of this worthless money as I can until it becomes completely worthless, okay? And continue to, you know, to use whatever excess that I have to invest.
That's a very good question.
Okay.
Kind of suits you.
Not with me. Yeah, so you could actually do that either way. You could buy and occupy it immediately, or you can buy and depending on how, you know, because some people may want to go as far as Ghana. Now, Ghana makes it difficult to go back and forth. You know, we've recently been looking at countries in Central America, Belize. Literally, you can drive to Belize. You know, you can drive. I mean, it's 2.5 day drive, but you can drive to Belize if you had to. You know, so there are places that you know, may be available that you can buy the land and go back and forth. You may be trying to improve the land, whatever, you know, building yourself a little, you know, residency. So it kind of depends on the individual and what, you know, what their pockets can handle and whether or not they feel the need to leave now, or just want to have somewhere to go when things begin to get funky.
I have a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, my comment is, if you do buy land, you have to know that you're not going to get a crop immediately.
Right.
You're still going to have food to last a year.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
So we gotta get damn grocery stuff.
Or you're going to have food already.
Right.
And then your crop come in and then you can roll from there.
And when you talk about having food, you want to really look at a lot of non-perishables. You want to look at things that will keep, you know, for a period of time. Dry food. You have things that have high nutritional content. You know, things like chia seeds, high nutritional content. You have you know, certain herbs and plants that have high nutritional content that you may want to have. You know, can be dried and used, you know, for that period of time. But you're 100% correct. You're not going to have a crop. You're not going to walk in on a crop.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Any questions?
Early on, you mentioned China being a debtor to our nation.
Right.
Could you explain or maybe just expound a little on what their position may be? You talked about the worst case scenario as martial law. What would their interest be to keep loaning someone money who you know their whole economy is going to collapse?
Because we're the biggest consumer for China. The United States, we're buying all of the Chinese goods. We are their biggest customer, okay? You go to Walmart, you pick up just about anything made in China. So the United States is the biggest customer. So what they're doing, they're literally looking for other customers, which is why they're in Africa, for one thing. So they're trying to wean themselves off of America. What they're doing is they're dumping dollars back into America. They're buying up properties and things in America with the dollars that they have, because they want to get rid of dollars. But they've actually pegged their currency, they've pegged their currency to the dollar in order to keep their goods cheap enough for Americans to be able to buy them. If they actually allowed their currency to rise in value, then we wouldn't be able to afford something at Walmart because it would be too expensive. And see, the United States doesn't export anything anymore. They don't make anything. There's no, you know, we don't produce anything. You hear we talk about we have a service economy. A service economy means you don't make anything anymore. That's what it means. You don't make anything anymore. So there's nothing to export. you know, if you got a computer and you got a problem, you call up customer service, and it's on the other side of the world. You know, you're lucky if you can understand what they're saying. Because they've outsourced customer service. So, yeah, the Chinese, America borrows $3 billion a day just to keep running. They borrow $3 billion a day. Huh? China, Japan, whoever's willing to loan it to them. $3 billion a day. You know, give me I'll take $1 million, just, one day. You don't even have to, don't even come back tomorrow. Just give me $1 million a day. Any other question?
Now, where do they get their money from?
Who?
The people that we're borrowing money from, where's their money
They're
from?
selling stuff. They're manufacturing things. They have a manufacturing base. The United States doesn't. You know. So yeah, they're selling stuff. That remember it used to be RCA, Sylvania. They used to make television. There's no place in America that makes television anymore. No, there's no company in America that makes television. Most of your clothes that you buy are made somewhere else. Philippines, China, South Korea. Yeah, so they have money, but they're selling stuff. And then they get the dollars and they try, recently, I know some folks that traveled, this was just a couple of years ago, traveling to Israel and having to stop over in somewhere in Europe, and they didn't want the dollars. And the dollar used to be king. Now, when Mexico don't want your dollars, you know it's bad.
My uncle just went to Canada.
Huh?
My uncle just went to Canada, probably more than a month ago.
Yeah.
He called me up, we was conversing.
Right.
He told me he was at a gas station, and he didn't have the money on the card, so he gave cash. He told him they didn't want it. This is in Canada.
In Canada. In Canada. The rest of the world knows about this, except the people in the United States. They think their money's still good. You go outside the country, your money. It was a time when everybody was scrambling American dollars. See, what kept American dollars, and what's still keeping American dollars afloat today is the American dollar is what you have to use to buy oil. Okay? So they made a deal with the Saudis that they would keep the Saudi royal line in place, and in exchange for that, the Saudis said, well then oil will be priced in dollars. So when you want to buy oil, if you have yen or rubles, well not rubles because Russia has their own oil, but if you have whatever currency you have, then you have to convert it into dollars to buy oil. So now, but they're backing away from that now.
Right.
So now when petrol, dollars are no longer necessary, then who needs it? Who's going to need it? Nobody. Russia and China just, if you check the news, within the last 6 months, Russia and China made an agreement to back away from the American dollar.
There's 5 countries in that.
Is it 5? Okay.
5. Britain, India, South Africa, Russia, and China. Yep. And they said they will stop all business with America because they know it's going to fall.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Didn't they make a deal to buy the ports of America like recently?
By the way,
The ports, American
Oh.
ports,
it doesn't surprise me.
a couple of years ago.
They're buying any and everything they can. They own some of the most expensive real estate in New York.
Right.
And the Indians, they're popping up. The temp agency that I go through is an Indian temp agency. Everybody in the temp agency is Indian. thought they had some reserves because they could talk to African American, but you know they still gave me the contract. But I could tell like it was like some serious reservation in their voice, and they're popping up everywhere. All these native, I mean these Indians, they buying this.
Indians have always bought gold.
Right.
They have always bought gold. The Chinese are buying gold hand over fist.
Right.
They're buying plenty of gold. The United States doesn't have any gold. I mean, that's the bottom line. They don't have any gold. The only gold, the gold that they had now has been transferred to the Federal Reserve.
We call him a new white man.
So my question is, like, these companies that are advertising to buy gold from these companies, I see them on TV, and they give you a piece of paper, but you don't get.
You better, if you buy gold, you better buy physical gold. Because they're doing just the same as the goldsmiths do. They're selling more paper than they have gold to back it up.
And on your bullion of gold, they can have 10 people buying that same piece of gold.
Yeah.
There was an article last week, I sent it to some people, that Germany had said, we want to see our gold that's locked up in the Federal Reserve in New York, and they couldn't show it to them. They said, we want to audit. And they couldn't show it to them. So they gave them a song and dance and said, well, we want ours transferred out. We want to send part of it to France and part of it to England. So they already started one part, and the second part they reneged on it. So the gold in America, they can't find any.
Remember, in 1971, Nixon essentially forfeited on a debt because he was supposed to pay it in gold, and they took the United States off the gold standard under Nixon's administration, I think in 71. After World War II, the United States had 70% of the world's gold. 70% of the world's gold.
How much?
70%.
70.
70% after World War II. Now,
So where is it?
gone with the wind.
That's what they said.
Gone
They
with
got
the
large
wind.
gardens and everything.
You know,
So the bottom line is gold is not the investment land.
yeah. I mean, gold is a hedge against inflation. Okay, but if all you have is now gold is you know you can convert gold into currency, but the most important thing to have is some land. You know, you may want to, when the dollar collapses, the last thing you want to have is U.S. dollars. Okay, you'd be better off having gold than having U.S. dollars. Now you can buy gold coin. Canada mints gold coins, South Africa mints gold coins, other countries mint gold coins. You can buy gold coins, you know, rather than, you know, bullion. You can buy gold coins, and that's liquid, that's money, that's cash money. But you don't want to get caught with dollars, because if you get caught with dollars, you got nothing. Huh? Yeah, it's like Confederate money, monopoly money. You know, you just don't, that's not what you want to get stuff with. So when you have, which is hard to come by anyway, but if you have money that you don't need to use right now, I would say you convert that money into gold. You know, buy gold coins. You know, if it's money that you have right now that you don't need on a regular basis, then, you know, like savings, you don't want to keep saving a whole bunch of dollars.
Right.
You know, you don't want to keep saving a bunch of dollars. You want your money to be in something else other than dollars. Even euros right now are better than dollars. They said the euro is going to fall, but the dollar's going to fall faster. But it's a situation that it's going to happen one way or the other.
Who has the strongest dollar? China?
Huh?
China has the strongest dollar?
Well, China, I don't know if China is the strongest dollar. The United States owes China more money than they owe anybody else.
British pound is $2.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah, British pound. See,
the
the
British
British,
pound is the most.
the British pound is not connected with the euro.
Right.
Okay, the British pound, and that's, I just bought something that I had to pay in pounds, and the conversion wasn't quite two to one, but, you know, it was favorable to the British. It was not favorable to them. You know, I think it was 29 pounds, I think it cost me $40. It cost me $40. Some software I bought. They came out with it.
So what's the coalition gonna do? You wanna head a project for buying land?
We are actually looking right now, looking at places where you can buy land. We're looking at places, number one, first of all, where we may already have people there that can help us in terms of you know, what to buy, how to settle. And so we're looking at where can we go. You know, Ghana is one place that we're looking at. Believe it or not, South Africa is not a bad place to go. And South Africa is very developed. There is a huge Israelite community in South Africa. There are probably, we have more jurisdictions in South Africa, in KOI, there's more jurisdictions in South Africa than there are in the United States. So there's a lot of Israelites in South Africa. The Lemba came out of South Africa. So there's a strong Israelite. And the exchange rate in South Africa is favorable. I looked at it a couple of years ago, I think, SAR went to South Africa, and I was looking at the exchange rate, and I was just dealing with my Social Security. Now, they had an average salary for blacks in South Africa, and then an average salary for whites in South Africa, which is obviously higher than the average salary for blacks. But because of the exchange rate, my Social Security check was higher than the average salary for whites in South Africa. Okay, and that's just on Social Security, so that was a favorable place.
South Africa currency, that's a Kruger or something?
Yeah.
And also, there's benefit in being in South Africa because it's more related to American ways, American cities, American lifestyle.
Anything you can find here, you can find in South
find in
Africa.
South
They got
Africa.
malls and everything like this.
So in other words, to be able to train, if you're going out of the country to live, you have to think about what's going to be most comfortable for you based on your lifestyle. And South Africa is closest to the American lifestyle than Ghana or Israel or Kenya, which are some of the other places that we're looking
Yeah. Israel is actually a very expensive place to live.
Yes.
I was telling somebody, I was watching a video, and this guy, he pointed out the 10 places, the 10 worst places to be in the event of a dollar collapse. And number one on this list was Israel. Because of the financial support that the United States affords to Israel.
They'd be first cut off.
Right. New York City was one of them. Southern California was another. And after they named the top 10, they said any urban area in the United States is not a place to be in case of, that's financial. Any
Well,
other?
so you said South Africa. Does that include, go ahead,
He's in South America.
He's in South America.
Yeah, he's in Guyana, South America. Which is another, another place. That's the only English-speaking country in South America. I think Belize is the only English-speaking country in Central America.
What about government stability? Are they
Government stability.
like warfare, guerrilla warfare?
No.
Are they-
And that's one of the things we're looking into in terms of, places to go is, that's one of the key components, government stability. Now, Ghana is probably the most stable government in West Africa. Okay. The government of South Africa is stable. government believes is stable. You don't have, internal conflicts.
One other question associated with that. How easy, like you said, once you acquire the food and land, how difficult is it to start your own army? Or your own army, or at least a militia?
Well, depending on where you are, you may not need an army. If you're here, you're gonna need some protection. If you're here and you have food, you're gonna need to protect. Okay? Because there are gonna be some people around the corner that don't have any food.
Well, the reason why I'm saying that, is it illegal? Is it illegal to start your own army or militia? Like in these places, these other alternative places,
Well, more than likely, it's illegal to start your own army. I don't know of any places where you can just start an army. But, certainly here, there's, in an urban area, without a doubt, if you were able to have some food, if you got a little plot of land where you're growing some food, you're going to need to protect it. Because somebody else, if they don't have no food, they're going to buy a gun. So that's the next best way to get some food without money. Depending on where you're at.
Looking at a couple places right here in the States.
But see, white folks right now are making preparations. They're buying guns, and they're buying something that black folks don't buy: ammunition.
If you ain't got a record, you can get it.
True. Any other questions?
Yes, my name is Harry. I'm speaking on behalf of Interfaith Study and Community Development Association. So this subject, the idea of economic collapse and the famine for the next 15 and 20 years, it seems to correspond with the idea of, the religious prophecy, the prophecy as mentioned in the Bible or in the Quran, and the approaching the upcoming of the Antichrist, and also the coming of, Jesus, as being viewed by three major religions in Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. So can you give us your thought, your opinion, your religious opinion concerning this issue?
Opinion? Well, I'll put it this way. Most, the three religions you talked about, all predict some cataclysmic events, in that we talk about the end of the world, but it's the end of a system, the end of a world system, okay? This world system is ending, and something has to replace it, okay? This world system is ending. Now, whether or not whoever you believe is, coming with that world system is based on your particular religion, but certainly the world as it is run today is not sustainable. You cannot continue to pollute the air. You cannot continue to destroy your ecology and expect to live. You cannot. That's not sustainable. You continue to pollute the water, pollute the air. Your food is now genetically modified, then you're doomed, because you've essentially cut off your own life. You've committed suicide because you've destroyed your life support system. If you destroy your life support system, obviously, the earth is going to continue. The question is, will we continue with it? If we continue to do what we're doing now in terms of the planet, these people cannot be allowed to continue to run the planet. They're not qualified to run the planet, because if you look at the results of their stewardship over the planet, it's disastrous. So something has to change. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Any questions?
I was just going to ask if you're familiar with communities like the Mennonites that have gone into, I think they're in the leads already, and And I know
Yes.
they're very wealthy, even though they're not really part of this
Yes.
setup here.
The problem with the Mennonites in Belize, they have made a contract with, what's the company? The big agricultural company,
Monsanto.
Monsanto. They're growing GMO crops in Belize for Monsanto. We just had somebody just came back from Belize last week, just came back, spent 3 weeks down there. Yeah, the Mennonites are down there, but they're growing GMO crops for Monsanto. So they're part of the problem. Yeah, they become part of the problem. Any other questions? Comments?
Your move, the transition, you're saying another nation. Are you looking for someone to give you citizenship, or are you just going to like operate on your own terms? Or?
It depends. That's really an individual choice. See, your move may be, if you're moving on a permanent basis, then obviously you probably want to get citizenship. If you think you're moving temporarily because eventually you want to live somewhere else, then it depends on the situation. And it depends on the country that you're going to, what their laws are. There are some places where you can have dual citizenship, but not everybody. Not every place can you get dual citizenship. So, there are, in Belize, there's a situation where if you're retired, they have the qualified retirement program, where if you are depositing $2,000 a month in a bank in Belize, you come under that qualified retirement situation and you stay there as long as you want.
I believe Ghana had, at one point, had a dual citizenship or relationship with America, or?
Ghana still has a dual citizenship.
Still does.
So does South Africa. Different rules apply to how to acquire it, but both of those countries still have dual citizenship.
I hear people trying to endorse Liberia as a place for us to move to. What are your thoughts on that?
Liberia is not stable. Liberia is not stable. Liberia is still, the conflict in Liberia still has to do with the people that were there when the ex-slaves went there, okay? The ex-slaves went there with a slavery mentality. They went there with a European mentality and essentially caused it. That conflict is ongoing.
But now the president that's elected is American, Liberian.
Yeah.
And she's trying to promote more American people to come here like, hey, this is a place you can come to, try to downplay the civil, the rest going on over there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Yeah, but I wouldn't go to Liberia, personally. I know KOI's experience in Liberia is not a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a comment that deals with the question that was going for earlier about the religious aspect of it. We know in Israel that the Almighty promised us that if we turn back and follow His law, then He will come back and deliver us out of the system.
Right.
My comment is, even though we, Israel, know that, sometimes we lull ourselves into sleep saying, look, I don't have to do anything special except to just follow this law. And then when the crap hits the fan, the Most High will come in and deliver us. So you don't have to make all these contingency plans, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just throwing the question out. What do y'all think about that? Because it's a very divisive issue.
Right.
And it's going to be very hard to get Israelites on any kind of plan if the Israelites you're talking to saying, well, look, we doing law, we ain't worried about it. Most High has our protection.
That's a very good question. And me personally, I take that almost like the Israelite form of the rapture.
Right,
You
right,
know,
that's what I'm saying.
they're just sitting
That's
there
right.
waiting for the miracle that, you know, pick them up, drop them, you know, on a beach in Tel Aviv with a condo, okay, and a welfare check. Okay? That's not what's going to happen. We know that the Creator will deliver us. We don't know the process, okay? But what we can do, the Creator given us a mind,
Right.
okay? So now when we see things that are happening, we have to get out of the way. Other than that, how can we say we're as intelligent as we say we are? If we get caught up in the same mess that everybody else gets caught up in, then of what value is to say I'm an Israelite and you know, we were created people? We have to be smart about things. So we know if we have to leave this country for a while to be able to get to Israel, that may be what has to happen for some of us. Some of us may be able to go to Israel and survive. That may happen also. I don't know. But I know one thing. I can't stay here. Not in this situation. Not, why would I stay if the house is burning down? I'm going somewhere where the house ain't burning. Now, I might only be there temporarily, but at least I'm out of the burning house. And even Martin Luther King said, I think, you know, we've integrated into a burning house. You know, so if the house is falling down and you in the basement, because that's where we are, we in the basement. The house is falling down, then everything that falls winds up falling on us. So, you know, to me, it behooves us to get out from under this as best we can. You know, a first stage may very well be getting, you know, moving to a rural area in the United States. At least that is better than being in the cities. At the very least, it's better than being in the cities. But yeah, that's a divisive issue with Israelites. Some Israelites, I mean, I know a group of Israelites who, brother told me that the ships of Tarshish are being built in the Philadelphia Naval Yard.
Wow.
Now,
And he went down there to see him right here.
so how would I argue?
Right, that's my point.
But how am I going to argue with that? I can't say anything. You know, if that's what you believe, brother, you know, that's okay.
Well, when the question came up earlier, I think the sister asked, what is the coalition doing?
Right.
Well, coalition is a group of people that got the same mindset.
Right.
And that's where I'm at right now with the coalition. I'm trying to find people that think like I do.
Right.
And then once I get a body of people that think like I do, then we can move on to, but the first thing is,
Right.
is to define who we are.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
that's where the coalition is right now.
Right. And so we're actually looking for more people who are thinking along the same lines.
Ships of Tarshish, what's that?
It's a prophecy. It's
Biblical prophecy. Ships of Tarshish, and all it really meant was ships of a certain type,
Yeah.
made for long voyages.
Okay.
Right. So, but we've taken it literally, you know, where we're looking for the ships of Tarshish specifically being built somewhere to take us. You know. I mean, so. Any other questions?
How often are you gonna meet?
How often we meet? Well, we actually meet every week. We have a phone conference every week. Yeah. So if you'd like to come apart, you know, like Kaziel, you know, and, tell me.
If we remember anything from a couple of weeks ago when they had that somewhat storm that we were all preparing for, it
Right.
never occurred.
Right.
If you notice in the inner cities, these storms seem to go over our cities, and we're not harmed. A lot of times that's why, quote unquote, those people want to come move into these places. Now they're putting out it could be propaganda that the inner city is not the place to be, and then they come right here and we leave, and you know, What's your idea about that?
Well, the inner city is not a place to be if you're not wealthy. See, the people that are coming back into the city, they have money. Because they're coming back and buying homes that we can't afford. In Brewery Town in Philadelphia, there's a stone's throw from row houses or new homes that cost $350,000. Now, what they're doing is they're buying up these row homes, giving people more than what they're worth. Okay? So people are taking the money, they're demolishing them. The next thing you know, they got $350,000 house that you can no longer live in. We used to have a T-shirt back in the '60s that said, "Urban renewal is nigger removal."
Oh, yeah.
They bring that one back.
It's a good point that was brought up about the whole city thing, because living out in the rural areas, you have a lot of power outages, a lot of nuisance problems
Yeah.
that you really don't experience in the city. Living out in those rural areas kind of takes you out of the mainstream of government, meaning that majority of the government activity is in the inner cities. So you're able to see what's going on, you're able to really be more in tune. But a lot, and I've seen the statistics, in these rural areas, they're pretty much out of touch. They're just getting caught up with the internet. So being, I say, apart from essential information or essential things that you'll need to know how to maneuver, I think is, something that the point was concerned about the propaganda, about getting them to move out of the main hubs and then go to the isolated areas.
But you take a group like the Amish.
I was just thinking about them.
Take a group like the
They come in and
Amish.
out.
What they've done is said, we don't need your internet. We don't need your electricity. We don't need your cars. Okay, we don't need your stuff at all. We'll grow our own food. We'll build our own houses. Okay, and we'll take care of ourselves. And they'll survive. And they come into the, you know what they do? They come into the city to sell their goods and go right on back to their farm. So there's two sides of that story. You see, what the suburbanites are moving into the city, number one, because of it's more costly for them. They got to travel back and forth into the city, and they work in the city. They're the ones that are making money in the city. So they move back to the city because it's more convenient for them. But for us, look at South Street. South Street was the center of black life in Philadelphia. What? In the 30s, 40s, 50s. South Street now is condos that you and I can't afford. Okay. Shopping that you and I probably don't go to most of the time. Sometimes we do. But South Street is now, that used to be with the places where all the black entertainers performed at was South Street. Now South Street is a completely different place.
I was gonna say, I had stores on South Street in the 300 block, and the rent that we paid for our store, we started out the first store we were at 325 South Street. We started out at $3 grand a month. Then we moved to 329 South Street, and our rent went to 10 grand a month, triple net. And between that, all kinds of things happened. It's disastrous. So obviously now I don't have the stores, we're not on South Street. But just to let you know, and it's the people that we rented from are Israeli. The Zionist Israeli that owns Dr. Denim, City Food, and all that kind of stuff like that. So it's a totally different environment down there now.
Yeah, that used to be all black at one time. See, South Philly was the first place black folks moved in Philadelphia. Moved in South Philly. Now, not that way anymore. She forgot.
No.
comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, spoke about the homage. It's so difficult to get our children, my children, to follow that trend because there's so much interrupting their eyesight and their
Yes.
mindset.
Yes.
And it almost has to take a cataclysmic event to get the generation under me to withdraw from the society because they're literally addicted to their
And literally, to that end, our children would be far better off in a rural environment. The poor would be really far better. Any other questions? We have a commercial break.
What the sister said is right, and we have a book that explains a lot. It's called Dehumanization, and that's what they're doing to our kids, just what the sister is talking about. So as long as we stay in this environment, like you said, we don't need no major catastrophe, they're really messing with our minds.
Can we segue into
And now back to our regular meeting.
Can we segue into other commercials?
Yes,
Oh, no, she's leaving me for last.
yes, yes. You want to close out the show. I'm just going to open it now. All right, any other questions, comments? I hope everything was informative, this evening. So, open the door for whatever our next lecture is going to be. But, yeah, I'd like to bring up Sister Talmania.
Please, let's give him a round of applause for excellent presentation. It was marvelous. First of all, my name is Talmania, and I live here in Philadelphia, and I'm one of the persons that's on the Philadelphia Leadership Coalition. So I wanted to thank you all for coming out this evening, considering how cold it is, and wanted to ask you to please help us out by completing the survey, because that's the only way we'll know if what we're doing is working. We do have meetings once a week to talk about this very thing. What can we do for our people to resolve this issue, to work on it as a community together? So I'd like to take a moment to introduce some of my colleagues that are also on the committee. We have Yaakov, and the MC who was here earlier is Elder Hanak, and he had to leave. We have Elder Mike, we have Elder Aish, and we have Kazriel and Zakane El Natan. Did I miss anyone at all?
Prince Kid.
Oh, Prince Kaz had to leave also. And just for your information, Prince Kaz is on a committee that is working towards having me do the research for land acquisition. Here in America, we're looking at initially 300 acres in a rural area in Georgia. So it's something for you to think about. To your point, we'll be putting our own water supply there, using solar and alternative sources for energy, because it is predicted that when the grid goes out, nothing's going to be working. We're looking at having trees there as well as clear land for agriculture. Two of my daughters are agriculturalists. They'll be coming in to help teach about composting and growing foods and all that. We don't know when the time is, so we're working towards pulling all these things together as soon as possible. And so you'll be hearing more about fundraising activities, because it takes money to make these things happen. So just please keep close to us so that you'll know what's going on. To segue into some of the advertising things we've been talking about, we are encouraging families to look at alternative to education, as Coach Shifra had mentioned, about educating the children, where we endorse homeschooling, and we prepared a booklet just as a guide to get you started for homeschooling as something for your family. And then we also have a pamphlet that talks about surviving the disasters. It clearly outlines the potential types of disasters that may ensue, as well as make some recommendations on what you can do to prepare your household for the disasters that may be coming. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact any of the leaders within the organization. They'll be more than happy to guide you through with answering your questions. Also, we've been very blessed to have one of the community project managers. Is that what you do, Mikhail? With your paper? Yes.
Yeah, my name is Mikhail, and we have Philadelphia Roundtable, philaroundtable.webs.com. And what we've been doing is connecting with people all around the city in Philadelphia to connect each other, because a lot of your concerns are concerns with other communities too. And it doesn't make any sense for everybody to be in their own corner when they can be on the same team to whatever degree is agreeable. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to make that connection.